Hello friends, and welcome to another video. Today we are testing out the Target brand of crafts, MONDO LLAMA Clay Trinket Kit. This one is marketed towards adults as well as a couple others they had at the store. Now, full disclosure, I have zero experience with clay. I am a classically trained painter, but I could never get into clay. This kit comes with everything you need to make little trinket dishes, and I thought it was super cute. I love a terrazzo. I was like, I got this. I can totally do this. But if you've been following me on this channel, you know I probably make a mistake in every single one of these kits. I show you that so you know that not everything goes perfectly and as planned, and that's just okay. Do I get a little frustrated with this one? Yeah, especially this film. I couldn't get off this plastic roller. But the point is we move on anyway. So let's begin. Now, my biggest issue with the MONDO LLAMA kits in the past is it doesn't give enough tips or information for absolute beginners. I would call this kit intermediate. Like, you need some experience with clay to know what you're doing, because I rolled these out way too thin every single time. It never gave any information on how thick it should be, but hindsight is 20/20, and looking back, it should have been a lot thicker than this. And I rolled it out too much, and that's why it was coming up like this. Also, it gave no tips on how to get this clay off of here. It was sticking pretty bad, and eventually the letters just came right off of this. Really adorable mat, honestly. I figured we'll just move on to the little colors. Maybe that'll make it a little easier. Again, the kit gave no tips on how thin these should be. Honestly, they should be a lot thicker than this, because they get rolled out again once they're on that white thin piece of clay. I finally got something that looked like it could be a trinket dish eventually once I rolled this out, but once again, too thin. Everything's too thin and already rolled out too much. And if I could go back and redo this, I would take a cup or a bowl, like a small cup, and just cut it out like a cookie cutter. You know, once I rolled the dough out to be a certain thickness. Doing the little color parts was kind of satisfying, even though I wasn't making the best shapes in the world. I was kind of rushing this a little bit because I was getting a little irritated, to be honest. But at any point I could have looked up another video, but I try to do these kits as they tell you to do them. I try not to look up stuff first on how to do it, just so you know what you're getting into when you're buying these. And obviously too thin again. I'm sorry I keep bringing it up, but it's just true. I wish they would have said more about how to actually make this thick. It also says you're supposed to clean this between each use, but it was still sticking to the mat anyway. I didn't want to waste the clay on this, so I decided to do a marble effect, and I just rolled it up and thought maybe we could just do that instead. Obviously doing the marble is much more forgiving and probably a lot easier. But before that, I was still trying to do this terrazzo design. I was like, I'm getting a terrazzo mini trinket dish, whether it's the last thing I do, okay? And I thought I really had something here, but we all know, what am I gonna say? Too thin. I also show my mistakes to show you that you don't have to be doing perfectly aesthetic crafts every single time you do them. I thought maybe if I wanted to get the trinket shape, I was unsure of how to do that. I could just press it into here, but I didn't think about how the hell I was going to get this out of here. Here's where I decided to just make this a marble one. The desire not to waste clay. Honestly, it was a lot more fun to do the marbling. Even if you mess this up, you can just flip it again. You don't want to blend it too much though, because then you'll just end up with one big blob of a color, probably like gray. The instructions didn't mention how to do the marbling technique at all, but I just figured you're just kind of mixing these up. I took a little break and I was like, okay, let's try this terrazzo plate one more time. And I'm not sure why, I guess I was just rushing this whole thing. I did not realize that it was just too damn thin. Here's my little marble mixture, and I thought it turned out pretty cool looking, to be honest. For some reason, I thought it was a good idea to put it back in here. In the instructions, it says if you want it to be like a thicker edge, you create a coil, but it doesn't tell you how to make a coil. So I decided not to make one, even though I am aware of how to make those, after watching many other talented clay people here on YouTube. I was like, all right, well, it'll just have an organic shape. It'll be very kitschy, very artsy, very abstract. You know what I mean? I had a lot of excess clay rolled out that I wasn't going to use later, probably. So I was like, maybe I can make a skull, and that would be really cool. I have no idea how to do that, guys. Maybe it's going to be more of like a Tim Burton type of skull. You never know. I mean, if you're a skilled professional clay person, then you do know how it will turn out. Or at least have an idea of how it will turn out, or an expectation due to many, many years of practice and work. I also thought to myself, it would be cool to do like a gray one with little yellow terrazzo or like yellow marble in there. I honestly thought this looked really cool. I mixed all the colors together because I was just like, screw it at this point. Let's see what happens. So it says you have to bake these in the oven. I think this kit would have been better with air dry clay, but here are my very organic, very natural, very modern art trinket dishes. Honestly, this takes a little practice. I think this is an intermediate level. And if you're an absolute beginner with clay, you might not want to do this one and just save your $15. But it was kind of fun, even though it was irritating to me because I was more mad at myself for not being able to do it and mad at myself for rushing everything. But I think if you take your time, maybe look up what you need to do to make these dishes first and get the kit. Because what's included with the kit is cheaper than you buying all of them individually. And I do think that's a plus. I don't know why this looks like textured paper a little bit. But yeah, I think air dry clay would have been better for these. This wasn't the worst kit in the world. You have to take into consideration all of my own incompetence and failures. I'm actually going to give this kit a 4 out of 5 if you are an intermediate clay person. But if you're an intermediate clay person, you might be bored with this kind of thing. But for me personally, if I went and tried it again, I would probably do better the next time. These remain flexible until they're fully cooled down, which I thought was kind of neat. Will I be putting anything in these around the house? I have no idea. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.